what's in your wallet? Read that gospel, I'm sorry, my perverse sense of humor kicks in. We've all seen that commercial. You know, those guys, and they're, whoa. It's a terrible commercial. But it's catchy. And it does capture the spirit of what we hear in the gospel tonight. What's in your wallet? What is it that you value? Be an interesting exercise, wouldn't it? You go home tonight, take out your wallets. Take a look at what's in there. Receipts, ID cards, driver's licenses, whatever. Credit cards, debit cards. What's in your wallet? To really appreciate what Jesus is doing here tonight, we have to recall last Sunday's gospel. Remember last Sunday's gospel, the one about the king that threw the wedding party? And he sends out his servants and says, y'all come. And the invited guests said no. And so badly that at one point the servants are all murdered. And so in anger, the king destroys that town and then tells his servants, go out and bring in everybody. It doesn't matter if they were invited or not. It doesn't matter who they are. It doesn't matter if they're sinners or good people, whatever. Bring them in. I want my table to be full. That's the story Jesus told. Well, who's the villain in that piece? It's the Pharisees. And so at the beginning of tonight's gospel, what we hear is that the Pharisees, in anger, have gone off to plot against Jesus. They got his message loud and clear. They're the ones who received the invitation but rejected it. That angered them. The Pharisees resented Roman rule. They wanted nothing to do with it. And they thought, maybe this is a way we can get back at this Jesus. And so it says, and they sent their disciples. They didn't go themselves. They're trying to trick Jesus. So they send their disciples along with a group known as the Herodians. Well, this is like, again, not trying to make a bad joke here, this is like Republicans and Democrats getting together to trap this guy. Because the Pharisees hated the Herodians. The Herodians, Herod, they supported King Herod. They supported the acts of the Romans in Palestine. So you've got these two groups that normally couldn't get along at all. But they're coming together to trap Jesus. And so they start off, and don't you just hate it? You can just almost feel the oil dripping off these. Oh, Jesus, you're so smart. You're you're wonderful. You can just see Jesus going, bring it. Here we go. And then they say about the tax. Is it lawful to pay the tax or not? If he says it's not lawful to pay the tax, that good followers of Jesus would not pay the tax, well then what happens? The Herodians arrest him because he would be brooking sedition. Just like if I stood up here and said, don't pay your income tax anymore. Don't pay your taxes. Okay? They would arrest him for that. The Herodians would. If he says, pay the tax, the Pharisees are going to get it because they're trying to get rid of the Romans. And here Jesus is saying, support the Romans in all that they do. There's no way he can win. They got him. He says, what's in your wallet? Let's see the coin. First of all, they're in the temple. None of them should have any coins. And here the people break out that coin that's used for the tax. Uh-oh. You hypocrites. You hypocrites. You want me to give an answer when you've already given an answer. You've already decided what you're going to do. You're just trying to trick me. But who's on this? And notice what the gospel says. Whose image and whose inscription. The image is that of Caesar. The inscription has to do with what they say about Caesar. And what they say about Caesar is that he's God. He's God. That's what the coin says. Not only is this monetary value, it's an act of faith. It says, we're paying you, Caesar, because you are divine. What's in your wallet? Jesus very cleverly says, fine, whatever belongs to Caesar, give to Caesar. But whatever belongs to God, give to God. And there's the trick to the answer. This isn't about politics. This isn't about government. This isn't about church and state. This is about what do we value above all else. St. Francis of Assisi later would make this point very clear when he would say, everything else belongs to God. Everything. All that we have, all that we are, belongs to God. Anything else is greed. And that's what Jesus is saying. So what's this all mean to us as we ask ourselves, what do we value in life? How are we committed to God? Father Roy shared last week, and I'm going to share the same story because this morning I got to do one of the baptisms. I love doing baptisms. Love them. And what's the very first thing that we do at a baptism? We turn to the parents and we say, what name do you give this child? Whose image and whose inscription? What name do you give this child? And in the name of God, we accept that child in. We welcome that child with the sign of the cross. Each one of us becomes a coin for God. God puts his image onto us. And God's inscription. And that inscription is more than just words. St. Paul's letter to the Thessalonians says our gospel is not just about words, but it's full of what? Spirit. Conviction. That's what the word is. The word has action. It has commitment and conviction behind it. The coins that you have in your wallet are worthless until you spend them, until you use them. We, as coins of God, are called to use them, to spend ourselves in service of others. Is that how we see our discipleship? So this gospel is much more than just saying, keep church and state separate. This gospel is saying, what do we value? How do we see ourselves as signs of God in this world today? And how do we allow ourselves to be used? What value do we give to the world because of our King, our leader, our God? What's in your wallet?